Welcome back. Well, yes, that is what we're focusing on today. This increase in price of petrol per litre. Two gentlemen join us to weigh in on this one. Mr. Peter Esela, former president of PENGASSAN, joins us virtually. He's been there. He understands the argument in terms of what is going on and what the thinking is, what the thought was at the time. Perhaps will help us understand what might be the thought today. And then here in the studios, Mr. Chinedu Okonkwo, president of IPMAN. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well. I mean, you could see the frustrations of Nigerians out there. Imagine just buying, just on the queue, somebody right in front of you buys it at 500 and something per litre, and then it gets to your turn, they tell you, no, it's now 600 plus per litre. As much as they may tell you international, the circumstances, the vagaries of the international dimension of the price, how do you explain that particular scenario? Is that part of the equation too? Is that part of the way it should be?
Well, I think in a regime such as this, you cannot rule out that because somebody who is selling would like to go back. And if from the source where he's getting this product have changed their price, getting to hear that, what do? You will adjust so that you still remain in the business. You know, some of my members have really gone out of business now because the cost of doing business is so high.
But the thing is, look, the market has already bought the product. It's already in the tank. They're dispensing at 500, probably 520 or 530 or 540 per litre. They already have the stock. So how is it that when you hear that some other areas have increased the prices, you jack up yours because you bought it at a different price? How do you explain that?
You need to be in business. If you will go back, you will go and buy at a new price.
No, but
yes.
Okay, go ahead, please. Let me understand.
You need to be in business. Assuming you are selling 520, then there is a sudden change from where you are getting it. You have to see how you can still be in business, how to still remain in business. I think that is what is happening.
But in this case, there isn't any proof whatsoever that there's a sudden change from where they got theirs. Because, excuse me, in the same report, several of those states were still selling at the old price.
Good.
They didn't jack up theirs. And then some of the persons, it just appears as though this is arbitrary. It didn't seem as if there's any sort of regulation or standard procedure that they adhere to in dispensing petrol.
A regulation in a regime where there is no regulation. The system has been deregulated. That is what we have chosen. So for you to be in business, you must strive to remain focused and know what is happening. It's not anybody's making. The market fundamental is a corporate. Look at the dollar right now. What is it going for?
I hear you, but what I'm asking is, there isn't any proof whatsoever that that particular marketer or they jacked it up from where they got theirs. Because assuming they were, without even considering or accepting that it happened,
yes,
several other areas were selling at a lower price. Does it mean that that marketer cannot go to those areas where they haven't jacked it up? Why must they or she choose?
You should understand this business and understand the argument. We are buying from an NPC, especially my members, retail. And all of a sudden, the source where you are getting this product have changed their price.
That's the NPC?
Yes. So what do? You have to, at least, for you to remain in business, change so that you can go back and pick again. That is what has really happened.
I think what he's trying to ask is, when that change should happen. Should it happen when customers are right there on the queue? The person, as he explained, the person in front of him just bought at a lower price, and it gets to my turn, and then you tell me, oh, the price has just gone up. When should this kind of change? When should it happen?
No, the timing is not even the issue. The issue is that how do we mitigate this? I think that is what we should be looking at. What should the government do to ensure that this product the way it's going, we need to work on our dollar.
No. So whilst government has that, and we'll still ask, that's a question we'll still ask. I'm just simply asking at that particular point, that person who came immediately after the person who just bought at 500 and maybe 50 or 560 and now has to pay more, you know, who the next person on the line will certainly feel the pinch or even be very, 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 very angry. And that anger will be justified. So I'm asking you as a marketer, do you put those kind of little things into consideration before you effect a change? Or do you think, no, those kind of things are inconsequential?
Let me tell you. You know, you pick this product from the depot. The last change from where we were before, the conversion right now, some of my members have gotten to the level of putting product in their tankers. All of a sudden, everything had to go down and say, wait, we have an information that the price have changed. They didn't load them again. Some are even battling now to see how they can load on those old price. And another one has happened. Do we kill anybody?
So wait a minute. NNPC is all importer. That's where everybody, your marketers are...
Yeah, for now.
So if they're all getting from NNPC...
For now.
So how do we explain then that some jack their prices up or they stay with the old price?
No. NNPC, like I said, they are commercial arm, the retail. That is where we're still getting our...
Yeah, we heard that.
Good. If that is true, and they have changed from what you are getting, because immediately they put on their filling station the price, they have already also changed from the source where we're getting.
I understand.
So the fear will also be there for my members to say, hey, can we still be in business?
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Peter Seller.
Thank you.
He's been there. Mr. Seller, good morning. Thank you for joining us again today on the program. Well, yes, you can understand the agitation of Nigerians because you have also led a group who kicked against this removal because of probably these kind of reactions. So what can you tell us now about the way this is panning out in the country?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I think based on your earlier question to Mr. Okonkwo, I think I will start from there. What you have is that marketers are making a kill retail. You don't buy petrol every day. They don't go to the depot to collect from NNPC every day. So what they have is that they already have the product in the house, and then they decide to maximize profit. So the other states, because I also watch your correspondence report, the other states where you have, they are still selling at that price. In a deregulated economy, the only thing that matters is strictly the morality of the owner of the retail outlet. So if the man has these high morals and feels that I bought at X amount and I decided to sell at this price, so I should stick to it until the other products that I have are completely exhausted. So it's strictly issue of morality. There are people who go out there and say, okay, this is a window. Let me make so much money out of this window. So that is that. I also understand why Mr. Okonkwo, as president, you also need to find a way not to throw your members under the box. So I understand that. Now, the other aspect is this, the last time we had this interview and I told you we're going to pay higher in July. The reason for that is that when NNPC normally do between 60 to 90 days stock. So it's expected that NNPC stock, the new stock that NNPC got, is different from the earlier one they got, which would have been not higher than 550 naira to the dollar. So if it's NNPC straight, you have NNPC can get CBN rate at 463. But if I have to look at what the other importers may get, which is if you are doing other thing with CBN, it's about 550. So 3 months ago, that was where NNPC was. So where is NNPC right now? Is that if NNPC is going to import, they can't import at 463 before the advent of this administration. So now, if NNPC is now importing at about, let's say 750 naira, let's say the last time they put an order for this, it should be about 750 naira. So NNPC cannot sell at the former price. So these are where the changes will come about. And then you also know that international crude oil prices have also gone up, and you have a falling naira. So it's more like a double whammy. So we are being buffeted from right to left. So these challenges, this is our new reality, our new normal. That the prices of petrol is going to. You wake up this morning, it may just be 617 in Abuja, 568 in Lagos. You may wake up tomorrow and it's 517. But what you are going to have is that this price may also likely maintain itself for another 30 to 45 days, except you suddenly start having increases in crude oil prices. So those are the challenges that we may have to face.
So the thing is this. Oh, pardon me. So now, right from what? The 60s, 70s, 80s till today, the Naira has always been falling. In other words, what we're going to face is this price will keep going up. Is that correct?
Yes, you're going to have the prices are going to go up. But the way the prices are going to go up may not be as because the way you put it now is frightening. May not be as frightening as that.
But that's the reality.
There are two things we need to do.
Okay.
There are two things we also need to do. Is that we need to get our FX liquidity is quite low. So what the government need to do is first we have to take advantage of the current prices, the current increase in the prices of crude oil. Unfortunately, we are about 500,000 to 600,000 barrels short of our daily production. OPEC quota for us. So that itself is over $60 million every day that we are losing. So when you have that challenge, that is one of it. The second aspect is that we are having pressure on FX. Why do we have pressure on FX? Because there are no local refinery. So I was hoping that by the end of July, or worst case scenario, August, we should be getting maybe 20-30% of it coming from Dangote before they go full stream. But I don't know what's happening there anymore. And I had a brief 2 weeks ago. The sitting president of PENGASSAN normally gives invited all past presidents. So we met and he laid all of this on the table to say these are some of the challenges right now. But the road ahead is going to be bumpy. It's going to be a tough road. But the government need to do something that will mitigate these challenges in this honeymoon period before the honey disappears.
When you led PENGASSAN at the time, Labour always agitated. They thought that no, government needed to put in place certain things before they go ahead and remove subsidy. From what you've seen now, do you think those conditions or any whatsoever were met or have been met?
No, those conditions have not been met. It's not just in the tenure, because you have a government that is barely 2 months old. And one of the things Labour have been saying over the years is fix our local refineries so that we don't have pressure on FX. If you are getting your product, what you are having now is there's huge pressure on FX. And by September, you are going to have about 20 or minimum 10 more companies joining to bring in products. So you are going to have more pressure on FX. So if we don't have local refinery, and then this pressure build on FX, what you are going to have is Mr. Okonkwo and some of his members may not get dollar from the CBN, and they must be in business. So they go to the parallel market. In going to the parallel market, they are going to push further devalue the Naira. Because one thing about economics is all about perception. If everybody is worried as we are right now, no matter what you do, the perception is that we are sinking. So what you need to do now is to ensure that these things that Labour have talking about, just imagine that if from Obasanjo we talked about refineries were not working, Yaradua we talked about refineries were not working, Jonathan we talked about refineries were not working, Buhari 8 years, Buhari had promised from the one that when it comes in is going to build two more refineries. That was not meant for it. That wasn't done for 8 years. So now Labour has been vindicated all this while. But what I expect Labour to do now is to go beyond salary increase.
What I want to know is whether you think that Nigerians really understand this deregulation we're talking about. For a number of people, yes, it was a very painful pill to swallow. I mean, initially when the subsidy was taken away and, fuel prices shot up to 500 and something in many parts of the country. But yesterday, the shock expressed by many Nigerians, you have to ask, do people really understand what a deregulated market means? And do you think our government has done its best to try and explain to people, just what's going to happen and what needs to follow, or what their own plans are with regards to where we right now are within this deregulated market?
No, I think government need to do more to communicate what is actually at play. Because yesterday, yes, I saw people were angry. Just like somebody I spoke to, when I got the news that this was going to play out, and I called somebody in Abuja, the person informed me that he has just bought at 500 naira. I don't want to mention the filling station. And then somebody else now told me he went there 45 minutes later and he bought at 615. So what the government should do is to communicate this to Nigerians and let Nigerians know that, yes, the prices are up, just like what you have in gas, cooking gas right now. Cooking gas a couple of months was going for about 9,500. What you have, price of cooking gas is about 8,000 naira for 12.5 kg right now. So the government has to communicate that when the prices go up, you pay more. When the prices go lower, you pay less. And again, if Nigerians are expressing shock, it's a new reality that we are in. You don't exchange it, no change is ever easy. Not to talk of these very difficult ones that put a hole in your pocket. So the government, the media, we all need to continually talk to Nigerians about this is the new normal. And if the prices also go down, you are also going to pay less. And I also hope that marketers, when the prices also go down, they are not going to wait. They will also instantly reduce their prices. But the government need to do more of an effective communication to let the people be aware. That's one. Then number two, the government need to hit the ground now and start looking for various intervention measures that can be carried out. If the government doesn't do it, in the next 3 months, and then the prices are still going to, the price of crude is still likely going to be higher because of the OPEC cut.
I don't know, you've accused marketers of making a kill. Now, Mr. Koronko is here. I'm sure he can defend marketers for himself. But I wanted to ask you if you think that is a fair statement to make. Because when you look at by how much the price of fuel has gone up, I mean, take, for instance, in Abuja, where we're buying 570 just 2 days ago, and yesterday it went up by as much as 47 naira. These are the kinds of, how will I put it now, increments that you cannot even predict. You cannot predict by how much it's going to go up. Can you really say that marketers are making a kill when they too are not certain as to what price they are going to be buying when they go to the depots?
I didn't generalize. I said some of the marketers. If you still have a product, in-house, why increase the product? If I buy a product at 50 naira, and suddenly where I'm going to buy it have increased to 60 naira, does that mean I go ahead and start selling at 60 naira? No, because the last time I bought this product, I bought it at 40 naira, so I'm selling at 50 naira. So why don't I stick to that? That's why I talk about some of the marketers has to do with the issue of morality. But I'm not saying that generally all marketers, are not putting all of them in one basket. No. There are some, based on their morals, who stick to the price, and there are others who decide that, okay, fine, let me take advantage of this. I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure that my colleagues in Lagos, or Mr. Okoronkwo, do you want to quickly respond to that? Because he said that, marketers are making a kill when they sell at the new rate, even when they still have old stock.
Well, I think it's relative. I know that the seller knows what the market portends. The word making a kill, for me, is an aberration.
What about profiteering?
How? That the source where you are getting this product, they have changed their own price. Even at the tarmac where you're loading. Will you still be in business?
No, what he said, what the thing is, if you bought this product at 60, the agreement or the expected agreement is you go and sell it at the prevailing price at the time.
There is no more price regime. See, look, let me tell you.
I understand that, but it can't be arbitrary.
When you finish that product, maybe you want to fixate your price from what, will you go back and get the product again?
You will buy at the next price and sell at the next price.
Where will you get the money to make up?
But you have you don't have funds to buy. No, Mr.
No. All these things are. Look, let me just tell you. These things are the realities we are facing now. Where you go back to pick this product, even some of my members who can go and check from an NPC have not gotten money to make up a product that we are paying for 8.1 million naira. Now they need extra 15 million to add to that 8.1. I mean, the one that we suffered before. And the same thing has also come again. It's a business where you cannot even, with that 20-something million, you can make up to 500,000 naira. Go and check. So how do you remain in business? We're only managing to exist in this business. But when people are making a kill, how?
Well, let's bring in our colleagues in Lagos.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I think this exposes maybe a fundamental flaw in the way we've carried on as a nation, and that's the need to essentially communicate with people. I mean, from government to the citizens, particularly now the marketers to the the consumers or customers, as the case may be. I don't think there's anything wrong in having a conversation or gathering them at that point saying, well, this is what's going on. This is why we have to increase it. Yes, people will protest, but communicate. Speaking of communication, Mr. Koronko, I'd like you to confirm, because the CEO of NNPC Limited said yesterday that a number of companies have imported products as of today. That was yesterday. Says private companies are now importing. Can you confirm that indeed there are others importing, or is NNPC still the sole importer of this product?
Yeah, thank you, Ayo. I'm supposed to be in Lagos today. There is this flag off. We ought to be in IPMAN depot facility. His product is in town now. We are supposed to be there, but for this interview, I would have been in Lagos. So it's true that people have started bringing in products. Now, would they sell at a loss? The answer is no. They have to look at their numbers and see how they can still be in business. It is true, about 3. I heard about A.Y. Shafa, Emadeb, and other people. They are bringing, and the number will continue to increase like a seller. That is the area where government must do something to reduce the pressure on Naira, because people will definitely go and bring in this product. And thank God they are now getting higher income from the sale of their crude, which of course should also help us strengthen our Naira. The black market, as at yesterday, was going for 820 to 840. And there is no more second window for this product. Everybody is in the same window. Before, it used to be maybe a government window, 450-something Naira. Then black market maybe 700. But now, all that is no more there. So the reality is there. But like I have been saying, we'll have an alternative in gas, the CNG. Government needs to see how they will bring marketers, bring all the players, so that we begin to deploy this CNG.
Mr. Okonkwo,
the CNG, we are not going to import it.
Right. Pardon me, on that point you made,
it.
I think CNG is a whole, I mean, it's a conversation that we also need to have. I mean, the cost of conversion between 250,000, some say as much as 400,000, especially now. Imagine the rates will have increased. So how do you expect people who are still struggling to purchase petrol for, what, 600 naira per litre to eke out that much so they can convert their vehicles to start using CNG? That's one conversation that we'll definitely have. But still speaking on this important matter, because the NLC president yesterday particularly said that the government is deceiving Nigerians, or NNPC in particular, deceiving Nigerians when you say independent marketers are bringing in petroleum products into the market. You have said, indeed, they're bringing in the products. It looked like earlier on you said that NNPC is still the sole importer. But are we to really expect that the prices will go down? Can you vouch? Can you give your word? Maybe to do that, you can help us explain or understand how you even got to the price of 600 and whatever the marketers are fixing now. What are those components that make it what it is right now? So what costs might be removed such that it would go down, so we know what to pay attention to?
Yeah, PMS is like any other commodity. it is the market fundamental that is the determinant. I think by the time all these OPEC and other countries producing crude start pumping in enough into the system. Remember, Saudi Arabia have removed about 1 million barrels of their allocation. These are also part of what we are suffering today. The Ukraine-Russian war, is also a factor. But I think nothing is, fixated that cannot change. That is why we in IPMAN, we are thinking about a local alternative, a remedy that will help this country mitigate all this exposure, all this pressure on dollar. We need to do something. And that is where we have resorted in looking elsewhere. Like you said, we'll discuss it, it's a conversation, but there is no better alternative. A country transiting from PMS, the gas is the answer. And by God's grace, we have abundance of this being wasted in billions of cups every day. That is the area government will now begin to say, look, workers, let them get a single-digit loan. Gradually, they can pay off. On how to create the market, because the business, there is no market for it. And we are laying 60,000 kilometer miles to Morocco because there is market there. Whereas we have over 200 million people that you can also develop this market. That is our own, thinking that the moment the market is, developed, the man putting his investment in gas will have cost to recover. And government needs to do something. By extension, it will also create wealth for them and also, create job opportunities.
Let me take this to Mr. Esele quickly.
Price
because there's been lots of...
might be.
Pardon me, Mr. Okoronko, just a moment. We'll come back to you, but let's take this to Mr. Esele. There's been lots of permutations about what should have been done, what could have been. Some go as far back as I said, pre-2012 and 2012, when that government removed subsidy. And they thought, okay, maybe that was the best way this could have been done then. But of course, this present government, that was opposition then, stood against it. Some say that this government should come out and perhaps apologize, own up and say, well, maybe we should have allowed this and not have, played opposition to that extent. But of recent, we've had other presidential candidates who have said, well, this is how I would have gone about subsidy. The Labour Party presidential candidate, for example, saying, well, it will be like half, the subsidies will be removed halfway, such that it wouldn't be just cold turkey, removing everything at an instance, said, fixing refineries, cutting cost of governance. Do you agree that this could have actually been done better?
Well, if I say this would have been done better, there are certain information, when you are outside, there are informations that you are not aware of until you become the president. And then when you become the president, then the informations that, no matter, even if you are contesting to be a president, there are information that will not be available to you until you become the president. So first thing is, the president have to look at the finances of the state. So that's one. And then number two, irrespective of what anybody running for office is saying, all three gladiators, that's the three major political parties, they all agree that they were going to take away subsidy. So how the process of doing it is what is different. I was an advocate of why don't you do a gradual subsidy removal? And what I learned from head in this current administration was that even if we say we have to take away 20%, I said put 25% per annum. That was my own suggestion. But they said, if we have to take 25% away, how do we even know that we are paying less of the 25%? This is the first time I'm knowing actual figures of how many liters of petrol we are consuming a day. Right now, we are consuming about 46.6 million liters of petrol a day. Before this, we were consuming about 70 million liters of petrol a day. So if they had gone ahead and they have done 25% per annum, we would never have these figures. And then the government will only pay subsidy, reduce subsidy the first 2 months, and subsequently the whole thing will balloon again, and then they go back to square one. That was the information I got from the players in this administration, why they have to do what they are doing. Then on the other aspect of whether this would have been done long ago, yes, when you talk about what happened previously under President Jonathan, opposition parties are there to gain power. The first thing is that you have to identify, okay, what are you opposing? Will this give me power? That is what political parties are about. It's all about interest and they want to get power. So you, as Nigerians, our citizens of this country, is that we have to look at what is also in our own best interest. What would I expect this government to have done? Because right now, if you come to Lagos or Rivers, people that I talk to across the country, is that you end up spending about 70%. I'm not even talking about the middle class now. I'm talking about those who are struggling to survive, are spending about 70% of their earnings as transportation. So our attention is on the federal government right now. The total revenue that was shared across the federation was 789 billion. I think they're about. Now, nobody's asking how was that money put to use. It's not a direct responsibility of federal government to provide buses in states. Direct responsibility is that of the state government. So what we do is federal government can come just like what they do in UBE. Go ahead and contribute 50% and then we match it. That's what the federal government is supposed to do in the presidential system or federal system that we are running. Well, so you will not expect federal government to go to Lagos and provide buses. But federal government can give a guarantee to any manufacturer that if you produce X number of buses, we will pay or will be the one to buy it and then distribute to states. Yeah, states also need to stand up.
Well, Mr. Stella, it could be, it sounds like a way to go, under the palliatives provision, particularly now that the president has said that the 8,000 naira palliative is being reviewed. But before we get into that conversation, I'm more concerned about, the price regime, particularly because of fears that it may go up. Now that Mr. Nwankwo has confirmed that some IOCs are entering the import regime, and that, the reality is that they're accessing Forex at $830, and because of that, they can only sell based on what they buy. And if you consider the NNPCL CEO saying that the market forces are determining the price of petrol and that it could go up and it could come down. When he says it could come down, is he making a political statement based on Mr. Nwankwo's explanation about how they are getting it, the price that they are buying at the international market?
No, it's not a political statement. It's going to come down. But the fact is, this is the law of supply and demand, one. And then you also know that crude oil is a commodity. Every commodity has boom and bust. So they are all cyclical. So what you have now, what has triggered the current price for Brent right now is because, just as Mr. Koko alluded to, there's a Saudi withdrew 1 million barrels. The Russians have also cut production. We have not been able to meet our production. So even if we are still less by over 500,000 barrels to meet our own OPEC quota. So if we have all of that in place and we have enough dollar, that will ease the liquidity squeeze, the FX liquidity squeeze that is currently going on. So let's assume you go into winter, which of course there are cycles whereby prices of crude will jump, and then there are also cycles where the prices will go down. So once you have these cycles, it will definitely come. It's just like the stock market. Things go up and whatever goes up also must come down. So it's not a political statement. And then the issue of whether the prices will continue to go. Yes, the prices will rise. Why will the prices rise? There are fundamentals that will drive price increase. First of all, a falling naira. Second, very difficult FX, your inability to access FX in the official rate. Whether you like it now, Mr. Koko said something about there's only now single window. No, there are two windows now that is emerging. The federal government want to have a convergence. But what you have right now is, if, as at yesterday I&E window closed less than 800 naira. Now, the parallel market closed at about 840. So if you have that, and then if Mr. A wants to import petrol, and it's finding it difficult to get at the I&E window, he may have no option than to go to the parallel market. And if he goes to the parallel market and gets it at 840, he may not be able to even sell at 617. So those are some of the fundamentals that we must look at. But down the road, I am very optimistic that these prices will also go down. But then the government need to, let me use their phrase, they need to create a way to allow people to breathe, so that when it starts sunny, they will be alive to enjoy it too.
Well, there's so many follow-ups to that, but I'll manage my time and go to the next bit of it, which is what Nigerians may be hoping for that will provide some form of relief for them, and that's the entry of Dangote into the mix. One will be wondering, what exactly is the reason for the delay? Is he watching the market to see what's playing out? Perhaps you could, help us understand that. And if that's what's happening, depending on how high the price of pump price of petrol goes, would he be selling at the same price, or is there a possibility, because it's not importing, it's producing locally, is there a possibility that the price could stabilize or in fact come down?
Now, first, the market is very good for Dangote's entry. But what is happening, I think Dangote will be the best person to answer that. Because by his own projection, he said in July, so let's give him benefit of the doubt that by 31st of July, probably we'll have a couple of liters coming from Dangote refinery. So Dangote will be the best person to answer that. But in terms of whether it's watching the market, I think the market is very ripe for anybody to come in. Because government, in the last 2 months, government have shown that they are not intervening. So government is ready to allow the market forces to take control. So I think it's very good for players to come in.
Mr. Nwankwo, let me come to you now. You were starting off on the conversation on palliatives, the CNG to be precise. There are reports of an African Development Bank intervention floating fund, to which some banks have also decided to also participating to provide investment loans for certain marketers. I would like you to confirm if that is happening and if independent marketers are applying for that investment window, and how soon can it begin to operate? Based on reports also that Nigeria does not particularly have the refining capacity for CNG. So how long will it take for that to come on stream if independent marketers are accessing this investment loan from the AFDB?
Let me tell you, we started our data capturing because we need to know the number of people and where and how. That way we'll begin to make more meaning. The business of CNG is very, very easy here because all this gas you see flaring in billions of cups, it doesn't take too much thing to convert them into CNG and LNG. And that is where to go now. We are not going to import it. There is no dollar, whatever, it's here. So the question you've asked, we have started liaising with our banks. About 7 banks have indicated interest in assisting us, where my member, with their 15% down payment of the facility, they can get the other one and spread the payment. That will begin to roll out pretty soon. Fixating our mind on crude, this crude should be sold and let us begin to make dollar. I hear people talking about refinery. Refinery, maybe we have about 4 refineries in Nigeria. If these 4 have issue, but in the case of gas, all this flaring, we have over flaring points that is over 100 flaring points that this gas you can get. There are other stranded gas too. We have gas in pipeline. So the gas is there. It's for us to now deploy the equipment. It's what we call plug and play. Under 3 to 4 months, the government needs to create the market to justify the investment. Somebody who wants to invest must be sure that there is market for that investment.
But Mr. Okoronkwo,
we in IPMAN we are beginning to do now.
Mr. Okoronkwo, does Nigeria have the refining capacity, the infrastructure, the pipelines to transport, the infrastructure to even produce it in the first place, and the pipelines to transport it? That's besides, you know, the setting up of the stations to dispense it. Is that capacity available for production of CNG?
Let me tell you how it works. We have a system now where you can move gas to Sokoto. Even Bua Cement in Sokoto is using LNG. You know, so it's not only by pipeline. You can also create, you see all this motor carrying all those long pipes. You move it down. It's a new technology. You can even, now have also gotten the right from our partners. You can bottle it and use it in your house, kitchen. And the beauty of this gas is it's not volatile like butane. This is methane gas. And it's there in billions of cups. Attention should be geared towards developing that market. That market is what we need for a multi-billion contract. For somebody to begin to give you gas, he must be sure that there is where you can sell it, not producing the gas, and there is no. That is why you see them flaring it. It's being flared in billions of cups every day in Nigeria. Availability is here. It's even estimated that the gas we have can last us over 500 years. And it's clean. We will also gain a lot of credit. We are signatories to countries that are trying to eliminate all these greenhouse effect. So why not government now begin to see how they will encourage investment into that will remove and reduce all these pressures. The crude, we should look at the crude on how to generate dollar. Refinery, when you refine, how do you get foreign exchange here? I'm not saying it's not good, but since we have this one, a lot of countries are importing it from us. Well, we can develop it here too and begin to use it. The technology is there.
All right, gentlemen, let's wind down with some of these questions now. Mr. Sele, did you ever bring up the question of the byproducts of the crude that we take out? Because many have told us on this program that we get way less value of the crude that we export to bring back to this country.
But that's true. We always talk about this, but it has to do with the capacity of those who are leading. You've seen in the last 60 days, we are making new mistakes, which is good. It's an evidence of growth. When you keep repeating old mistakes, then you are not growing. The new mistakes we are making right now is that, okay, what we should have done, what we are not doing, but it's new. But if you ask the question about gas, Nigeria is actually a gas country. Our gas reserve at the moment is over $3 trillion, our gas reserve. So if we go ahead and say, let's take advantage of the gas reserve that we have and allow private investors to come in, you're going to find out that down the road, it's going to be very beneficial for the economy, beneficial for everyone, and to create wealth. There are a Nigerian company right now that is investing about $5 billion in a gas floating company, and they want it that way. And once you have that, like what Okoronkwo has said, is the market available? Once the market is available, you find it to be easier for us to move on. Then the other aspect is refinery. He made reference to refinery. Why refineries need to work is, first of all, for our national security interests. That's one. Then number two, why the refineries need to work is also for export. If you're able to export your product, you get dollars from it, just like the way you are exporting crude oil. So if we are able to get all our mix right, I am still very optimistic that, yes, down the road, these whole policies may work out well, but the government need to do something in the interim to cushion the pain that the people are going through right now.
All right, Mr. Okoronkwo, people still don't agree with your earlier point about not selling crude at the price for which you bought it, because they say you still make profit. I mean, petrol. That you still make profit from the prevailing price. Even when you buy the new product, you still make profit from there. So they then wonder what the NNDPRA seems to be doing, because we seem to be at the mercy of marketers.
In a deregulated regime, the pricing is not their, purview. It's not within their purview.
It's not the
pricing. It's a market.
It's
Let me just tell
that
you.
you stick to the rules. If you buy at
which
this
rule
price,
are you
you're
talking
supposed
about?
to sell.
No, you are bringing
threshold.
us to the old system we have. Crossed.
So what is the new system?
The new system is you bring your price. The market. If Mr. A is selling 500 and you are selling 700, nobody will go to your filling station. That is what will happen. Now the realities are there.
That cannot be the only condition.
No. Let me tell you, when you see maybe Aerano is selling cheaper, everybody, the line will be so much. Then you go there and wait. The business model have changed from price fixing. What determines everything now is the fundamental, the realities on ground. Somebody cannot argue with me. It's a business. If you buy product maybe 25 million naira, check okay, let me just give you now. 25 million naira. The profit there is no more than 500 naira. And you see some extortions from the depot. People like tanker driver will begin to tell you, you do this, you do that.
In the deregulated economy.
In the same product.
The same deregulated market.
Yes, that is why we are not letting the government to know that this business, the model have changed and everybody have to change for good.
There are several theories out there. Some even think that, look, the volume of petrol that Nigerians consume has drastically reduced. And so they have to hike those prices to make up, to meet the volume and the threshold. And so several theories, really. But I guess in the days ahead, because certain fundamentals are not in place. We don't have a proper transport system, because when transportation goes up, it affects everything, every value chain, because people move goods and services. So they add all of those, and then services hike. So it's
that is
what
why
a cycle.
We are bringing something that will...
The transport system?
Yes, this CNG.
Oh, well.
The cost of fueling your truck from maybe Kano to Lagos to and fro with diesel is about 1.something million. But with CNG, you can get it under 200,000.
So you won't tell us tomorrow international gas price will matter?
No. Gas business is not like petrol. It's signed, maybe 5 years, 10 years, the price will not change. It's not like these other businesses.
I guess we'll see. We don't know what impact Dangote Refinery will also have in the scheme of things, since it's, but I guess we'll wait and see. But gentlemen, I want to thank you, Mr. Peter Esela, former president of PENGASSAN, and Chinedu Okoronkwo, president of IPMAN. Thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we will be back in a moment. Stay on with us.